In 3. Good afternoon and welcome to Perspective Shift with me, your host, Colby Martin. It is live Wednesday, 2 p.m. Pacific. Technically now it's 2:05 p.m. because I had to give a little bit of a 5-minute time for people to get acclimated to find us. And by the us, I mean this beautiful growing community of perspective shifters that we have curated over the last 6 or 7 months, such as Susan and Mercy and Jesse, even though he had to work today. We got Starkovich, we got Melanie, we got a lot of regulars here, Leah, Anna like Banana, and then we got some folks such as Jules, who's joining us live for the first time, and Kenneth, who we haven't seen in a while, is here live with us. Oh, thanks. Anna confirms that nothing rhymes with her last name. Okay, cool. So I can just make up a pronunciation. Oh, my eyes are bugging me today. Sorry. Look at this. This is one thing. Speaking of my topic today, what's our topic today, Colby? Oh, I'm glad you asked. Our topic today is 11 things that I don't understand. And the bonus one, which is not on my list, is why my eyes sometimes have these little patches of something dermatitis. But anyway, we got Angelo in the house. Oh, we've got some emojis coming in. All right. I asked people's favorite emojis. I'll get to that in a second. But for everyone else, if you've never joined me today, or joined me for a live perspective shift, here's the deal. On Wednesdays, except for today, by the way, I didn't get an article out, but normally on Wednesday mornings at my Substack page, which you'll see the link here on the screen in a minute, I write these articles every week and I call it Perspective Shift. And I email them to you if you're on my newsletter, and it's great. And I write about religion, spirituality, and psychology. And then at 2 p.m. on Wednesdays, so a couple hours after I email it out, then I hop on live for the YouTubes and the Facebooks, and I invite you to hang out with me, and we talk about the topic. So today we're gonna do something a little bit different than read an article, which is what I normally do, and I'm just glad you're here. So welcome to Perspective Shift. All right, first things first, I asked those of you who were hanging out with me in the countdown, what is your favorite emoji? Real important questions. So we got Kenneth coming in with the cheeseburger. Let's make these a little bit bigger because these are emojis. These have to represent. So Kenneth coming in hot with the cheeseburger. Tommy is all about the angelic smiles. Anna likes the studious. That was hard to do. When I was younger, I could get my arms up, but now they don't want to twist that much. Okay, anyways, Anna likes the studious emoji. Mercy just rocking the hearts. Just heart it up, Merce. Merce? People call you Merce? I just did. Hope that's all right. Susan says heart and laugh cry face. These are the only two that I understand. That's fair. I like Melanie's, the upside down, because I always feel a bit upside down. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh wow, Jules, I pronounced it perfectly. Thank you. I was just a shot in the dark. That's what it is, Starkovich. I'm like, new profile pic, but no, you're normally on Facebook. That's why I didn't recognize the photo. It's a great photo. I love it. Oh, Breck Wilson. No way. Hi, Breck and Kathy. It's good to have you here. Breck and Kathy are friends from my old home state of Oregon. Oregon. Don't pronounce it like that. It's Oregon. Or like the thing you row boats with. Okay. Not like pirate, Oregon. Bunch of gospel rabble. We got our resident Episcopalian in the house. What's up, Kevin Johnson? Hi, Phil. You're part of that community I was referencing earlier, the regulars that show up here on Wednesdays and just have a good time together. Glad you're here. Let's see. Is that your favorite emoji, Starkovich? Just the happy? My kids have a emoji themed Uno game. So it's like regular Uno game, but the colors, each card has a different emoji on it. And then why that's relevant is because in addition to there being like the draw for wild card, there's also a wild card that when you play it, yeah, you get to pick your color like normal Uno, but then also whatever the next card that is played, that emoji, the person after you has to make that face and hold that face for a whole nother round. Turns out some emoji faces are harder on the facial muscles to hold than others. I like that one too, Angelo. Little monocle there. Jules coming in with that's a good one. Michael, I like it says something about you. I'm not sure exactly what, but that says something about you. Mercy says she'll take Merce. All right, Merce. I assume that's the spelling of Merce, and you're not saying Merc, like mercantile. Yes, filled is better than being irregular. Okay, so today's theme is, or today's topic is, I'm gonna share 11 things that I don't understand with you. So normally I have an article that I write and I send it out Wednesday morning, and then we come on here and I read through the article and we talk about it together, and it's great fun. This week I didn't get an article out for a couple of reasons that are just uninteresting, so I won't share them here. So instead I thought, hey, I'm just gonna hop on, and I've just got some things that I've been thinking about lately, some questions that I have, some curiosities, and I wonder if my perspective shift folk have any thoughts on them. So either let me know if you have any thoughts on these things that I don't understand, and or also share your own things in the comment section that you don't understand, and maybe we can help you out or even respond to you. Oh no, what is happening out there? So Leah said that her computer shut down, and then Jules said that YouTube was acting up, so they switched over to Facebook. Oh my goodness. The internet's trying to keep us apart, people. Don't let them. Let's overcome. So before I go any further, if you're watching on Facebook and you would like to, feel free to like my page. But as I say all the time, it's totally optional. It's just, hey, if you like what I'm doing and you want to affirm that with a like, go for it. And if you're on the YouTubes and you'd like to hit subscribe on that, on my channel as well. Also awesome. And also it's your life. You don't have to do it. It's just there for the taking. All right, so let's get into this. Here's how this is going to work. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to share with you 11 things that I don't understand. And I was going to do like a little sort of soundtrack, but then I realized, I don't know, about half an hour of background music could eventually get a bit obnoxious for people. So I will spare you all the music. But yeah, so I'm going to go through, and some of them as you'll see, some of them are just absurd and silly and not worth talking about, but others, I don't know. Let's talk about it, or let's just think about it. Because some of these things I just don't understand. I don't have an answer for, and I'm not presuming that you have there might not even be an answer for some of these, but there might be thoughts or responses. I learned a number of years ago through Brian McLaren, who instead of doing Q&As, question and answers, Brian does Q&Rs, question and response, and that just has stuck with me. I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to do too. I don't know that I got answers, but I got a response. So that's cool. We can do responses. All right. So we're going to jump in here, and there's no rhyme or reason to these. These are just 11 things I don't understand. So let's get going. The first one is this. Why is the snooze? This is both indicative of things to come and not really. I'm going to bounce back and forth, but why is the snooze button 9 minutes long? Have you ever, first of all, have you realized, did you know this? This might be news, maybe for some of you. Also, I'm curious how many of you are snoozers and how many of you are not snoozers. So let me know which of you use, I'm a sporadic snooze buttoner. I would say it's like 60-40. 60% of the time the alarm goes off, I turn it off and I'm good to go. 40% of the time I hit the snooze button just like once. And maybe like 10% of the time I hit it multiple times. But anyway, it's 9 minutes long. Why? Why is the snooze button 9 minutes long? I kind of am curious about years ago when they were first doing like A/B testing, and they had one group that was like the 8-minute group, and another group that was the 9-minute group, and the other group that was like the 10-minute group. And how did they discern, how were the 9-minuters registered as more pleased with their snooze experience than the 8-minuters or the 10-minuters? And I'm curious, did they throw in some real wild cards? Like, let's try, what about a 30-second snooze button? Or like a 20-minute snooze button? That just seems a bit absurd. But how did we get to 9? What's with the 9-minute snooze button? All right, that's it. Oh my gosh, Jules snoozes at least 3 times every morning. So when you set your alarm, let me just get this straight. So when you set your alarm the night before, you build into it a minimum 27-minute cushion. Is this correct, Jules? Am I understanding you? Every day, three snoozer? That's amazing. Mercy can remember multiplying by 9 to see how many times I hit it. See, you're doing math that early in the morning, which is pretty impressive. Let's see if we can change that a little bit here. So you knew it was 9 minutes, and then Kenneth is not a snoozer. All right, Kenneth, thank you for your honesty. Tommy didn't even know that. That's because you don't use it. I think those of us who use it occasionally, like myself, or religiously, like Jules, we eventually sort of know. Yeah, it's 9 minutes, but why? Where did that come from? How did we land on 9 minutes? I just think that's really a fascinating thing to think about. Melanie only snoozes occasionally because her dogs insist that we get up right away. But yes, I've always wondered, why is it 9 minutes? I really feel like it has to be 10. Oh, so that's interesting. You've lied there thinking, I know technically it's 9, but this feels like 10. It's extra, just it's like get the first 540 seconds free, or 540 seconds, but get the last 60 free. Anyway. Susan says that Google has an answer. Well, Google might have an answer for all this stuff, Susan, but sometimes I like to live in wonder and not know. But I would like to know what the answer is actually also. So but I'm not going to Google it. Susan, if you'll let me know. Tommy says that my old pastor told me that if you snooze, you have a lot more lethargy in the day than otherwise. I'm just laughing because so many times pastors, and I'm one of them, I've been one now for like 20 years, we just claim to have knowledge and awareness and insight into so many fields that we really have no idea what we're talking about. I'm guilty of that. Yeah, we've got one who plans ahead. Anna sets hers 30 minutes before you need to get up, and then you snooze until you have to get up. See, this just cracks me up that people, that some of y'all live your life like this. This is just fun. Okay, so Starkovich has an interesting theory that it takes a minute to sort of like get out of those covers and to get those legs over. So 9 minutes plus the one that it takes is actually 10 minutes. So that's a Melissa's like, I'm still snoozing from yesterday. Oh, Justin, I like this because 10 minutes would be double digits and it may make people feel indulgent. Now, do you work in marketing, Justin, by any chance? That sounds like an answer to why things are priced $9.99 instead of $10. I think I like that idea though. Phil, is this a real answer or is this a Google answer? I'm curious. Not a real. I mean, is this your own thought? Before digital clocks, engineers were restricted to 9-minute snooze periods by the gears in a standard clock. Because that sounds like that could be the actual answer. And then when we switched to digital, it was just the industry standard. Oh my gosh, Breck's coming in with the humor. I don't know. I only have a booze button. All right, that's good. That's good. Tommy, they like to think they do, but we do not. And I know you're just joking. All right, so that's my first thing I don't understand, but I have a little bit of understanding now. Thank you all for helping me learn a little bit. Maybe last one. Maybe 9 minutes is how long we need to grieve. It's another day. Let me just process that. Okay. All right. Here we go. Number 2. Why did children grow up so fast? This is one of those when you like both before you're a parent or when you're a parent of like really small children. So before you're a parent, you hear something like this from an old fuddy-duddy like me who's got 4 kids that are now 16, almost 15, 11, 9. And you hear people reflect on this and I don't know if you'd roll your eyes, although which one of you had the eye roll emoji? Like you might roll your eyes at me. You might roll your eyes at us, be like, all right, another parent talking about their kids growing up too fast. I get it. Or maybe when you have like real little kids and you have other parents who are like, man, savor this time because the kids grow up just so fast. Like I've been through all those stages of annoyance where those sort of things are like, oh, come on, just keep it to yourself. And then when it happens to you and you hit these moments where you hit these stages with your kids, and especially your youngest kid, when they sort of start passing all the stages of no longer little kiddom. And it's funky, y'all. Like I know some of you that are watching this, you have older kids, some like me, some even older. And so I know you know what I'm talking about, but it feels like it goes so fast, which I know is an absurd thing to say to somebody, and maybe don't say to somebody who's got small children, but holy cow. my wife and I lately have just been wrecked. We'll just, you know how like Facebook gives you the on this day 7 years ago, or on this day 8 years, whatever. Like the used to be called time hop, but I don't know what they're called now. We just send them to each other now, like almost every other day. Like, this is our babies from 6 years ago, and they're just, they got little pudgy cheeks still, and just a squishy factor. And now they're like tall and slender and facial hair. And why do kids grow up so fast? It's hard, and I know there's a beauty to it. There's a beauty to. I mean, we've adored all of our kids at all of their stages and all their ages, but man, it's a. I'll say that raising kids, bringing kids into this world, and raising them to be humans is simultaneously one of the most beautiful things that I think we can do, and it's different for everybody, by the way. So if you're watching this and you're a parent and that's just not your experience, please don't feel like you're broken or doing it wrong. Everyone's going to have their own experience with this stuff, but for me, it has been both the most beautiful and powerful experience, and also just this weird, painful trick of father time, which just keeps aging. Like, I don't know. So that's the second thing I don't understand. Why do children grow up so fast? All right, I'll just now tune down here to comments and get a little bit of thank you, Merce. Yeah, why? Oh, we have some we have some snooze. We still have some snooze button information coming in. Melanie, looks like yeah, you also are telling me that it's about pre-digital clock era, and that the gears 9 minutes. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, maybe it's because we're having fun with the kids, and that's why. I mean, certainly feels like that sometimes. I like this answer too, Melanie. It goes with what Jules said. They grow up so fast because the years get shorter and shorter as we get older. So it just feels like it's going fast. I don't know. Tommy chimes in with a theory of relativity. The older we get, the faster time goes because we've lived already more of our lives. So kids' time goes slow because they've lived less time. Where's the Einstein emoji? Yeah, well played. Oh, Susan, your girls are 34 and 36. And I miss the kid stages. Yes. Oh, I like that though. You get parented more by them now. That's fun. Gotta get out of jail free card. All right, Tommy, you funny. This is interesting, Starkovic. Less about the kids and more about our overall fear of our mortality. So we feel we have more time as long as they're kids. That, getting deep on me. I could see that though. Yeah. All right. Why do kids grow so fast? All right. So that's the second thing I understand. Now, number 3. Here we go. Number 3. Here's another thing I don't understand. Why in our country is freaking assault rifle still legal? Why can we still buy these weapons? Now, admittedly, right out the gate, I am not a big fan of guns. So I would probably be okay on some level if there was just a magic button that someone could push and all the guns just poofed. There might be some scenarios where that'd be a bummer, but by and large, I'm not a gun person. And so I really, really struggle with the way that our country's relationship to guns. And as we witnessed this brutal massacre in our country again, up in Boulder, and again, from what I understand, and I could be wrong, but from what I understand, it was an AR-15, or at least there was an assault rifle of sorts. Again, which I was reading another article this morning that more than 1/4 of the last 80, like, what's the term? Mass killing. Like the last 80 mass killings, 1/4 of them, so like more than 20, have been with these freaking rifles. Like, why are these things still legal? Why can we buy these things? I don't understand this. I don't understand this. These, you don't need to go. Again, I'm way out of my depth. I'm way out of my league. These are not things I understand clearly, but we're not hunting with these rifles. Fine. Keep your rifle to go hunting. Go shoot your elk. I get it. Fine. If you are that afraid of intruders and you need to have a handgun in your desk drawer, I mean, okay, Second Amendment. Fine. I get it. Country was built with certain principles. That, by the way, was like 250 freaking years ago. Can we stop pretending like that was the height of our intelligence? That was when we had the best idea. They were great ideas. No one's going to take that away from, like, when the founding fathers, that document was the most technologically advanced document in the realm of politics and social economics. Like, it was a massive step forward for human history and civilization. An incredible document, way ahead of its time. And we've grown since then. The world's different. Things have gotten bigger and faster and stronger, more complicated. Why are we so afraid to just go back and be like, yeah, that made sense 250 years ago. Maybe not as much now, or maybe not in the same way. I just don't know why we have to. I just don't know why there's this insistence on keeping guns like these assault rifles in circulation in a legal way. I do not understand that. I do not understand that. I do not understand that. All right. That's what I don't understand. I saw this come up. Yeah, I saw that too, Kevin. So Kevin's like, he's quoting, I think, a character of someone else who might say, I need an automatic weapon to protect me from bad people, but I don't need a mask from viruses. Yeah, I saw that too. Like the contrast, the pointing out the hypocrisy of many of the people in the demographic who are so attached to the Second Amendment and their guns are from my perspective anyways, latched onto it from a place of great fear. But then they're like, what? Deadly virus? Don't be afraid of that. Anyway. Okay. I'm just checking in to see if anybody else feels this or what your thoughts are. Okay, there's a lot. Okay. Melissa's with me. Yeah, why? Why the heck are these things still? Kenneth, cause America. Yes, I get it. And what else? Like, there's got to be more to that. I'm not saying that at you, Kenneth. I'm saying that at the general sentiment. Like, yeah, Kevin's like, so we can use them in a well-regulated militia. Yeah, that goes back to, look, I get why the amendment was first created. Well, I kind of get it. Again, I'm acknowledging I'm not like the pastors we referenced earlier, Tommy, where I just feel like, pretend like I know everything. I don't know everything. I certainly don't know everything about the Second Amendment. I don't know everything about guns and the history in this country. But I do feel like we can update and upgrade our language and our laws from 250 years ago. All right. Jules says, because fragile masculinity exists and some people feel like they need to have a gun to feel more secure. I'm not going to push back on that. That's a good thought. Because the bloody NRA has a whole lot of money and a powerful lobby. Yes, I think that is a very reasonable response, that the NRA is a real big stumbling block here. Yeah, that's how I feel too, Jules. Jules says, I'm not against guns for hunting purposes, but there needs to be stricter regulations. While that may not solve all the problems since black market exists, but it's a start. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for bringing that up. One of the things that again, another thing that I don't understand is why when we have this sort of conversation, the response is, well, they can still get them in the black market. I think we know that. We know that it's not going to solve everything, but right now we're solving nothing. Right now we're solving nothing. Right now we're just allowing these rifles to be in the market. All right. I don't understand it. I don't understand why these things are still legal. All right. Good gravy. I've only gotten through 3, so I'm going to keep going, but thank you for sharing, everybody. I see your thoughts on there. What up, Rhett? I agree. Let's try and love each other like Jesus would, which is a great way to wrap up this last question here. Why are these guns illegal? All right. Good. Yes, Logan says, what's up, brother? Logan says it's called an amendment, so they aren't as sacred and untouchables, and people insist. Yeah, these are already things that we've been like, this amends that, and this amends that, and so we can amend the amendments even. The amendments are not commandments in stone. All right, moving on. Okay. Next thing I don't understand. How are Tom Brady and LeBron, hard right turn here, people. How are Tom Brady and LeBron James still performing at such a high level? We got to lighten it up a little bit after that last one. But seriously, these old dudes, Tom Brady is what, 43? Maybe? LeBron, I think, is my age. I'm 38. How in the world are they still performing at such a high level? This is mind-blowing to me. So not only are they 2 of the greatest that have ever played the game, but they're playing at levels and ages, and I get the practical answers. Modern science, technology has allowed them to take care of their bodies better, and cryo chambers and personal train. Like, I get all but still, I don't understand it. Like, it is, at the end of the day, it's still mind blowing, isn't it? That these 2 guys are performing at such an incredibly high level so long into their life. Is pretty phenomenal. All right, moving on. I don't understand it, but we're moving on. Number 5. How can, oh gosh, and we're turning right back into it. How can people deny in our country that racism is still a thing? This one really perplexes me. And again, it's so far out of my depth. I don't, much like the gun thing, these are things I don't understand. But the point here is not that my thoughts are from super well-informed. Like, in some ways there's good. It's kind of like the snooze button one. Why is the snooze button 9 minutes? That was the first question. And some of you just provided the answer. Like, there are answers to some of these. So when I say I don't understand, it doesn't mean that there's not reasonable things for it. But I do find myself often just so freaking frustrated that some folks in our country really seem to not want to acknowledge that not only is there systemic racist policies and cultures deeply embedded with this, with layers and layers of racial prejudice and stereotypes and oppressive systems, but then just like on everyday level, we have been trained by our culture, whether intentionally or not, we've been trained by our culture to see different races in different ways. And that's a problem. And I don't understand how people in our country want to say that that isn't real, or that it's not happening, or that they don't do it. I mean, this came up for me again with the Boulder shooting, where, and I understand that the gentleman who committed this atrocity isn't technically white, but my understanding is he was white identifying it enough because my sense is if that man had dark skin, then he wouldn't be taken into custody. He would have just been taken out. And that seems obvious to me, the disparity between how we treat people based on their different races and ethnicities. It seems obvious to me. And yet there seems to be so many people in our country that sort of deny that that's a real thing, deny that people get treated differently for the color of their skin, deny that they themselves might treat people differently, ignore that there are like actual policies in the rule of law that treat people differently according to race. Like, I don't understand how this is a thing that I totally understand that it's complex and it's nuanced and it's layered and there's no simple, easy answers and there's no simple solutions. I totally get that. But that's the conversation we have after the point where we agree there's a real problem here. The problem is real. Then we can talk about solutions and different ways that we might solve the problem. But to just bypass or ignore the problem, I don't understand that, man. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. Yeah, Julie, I think this is well said. Julie says, I think a big part of that is they don't want to see it, because if they did, they would either have to change systems behaviors to demand self-sacrifice, or they need to ignore it and live with the discomfort. Yeah. So well said, Julie. I love that answer. I think a lot of people don't want to see it. It's really, really uncomfortable to acknowledge that something really disturbing might be going on right in your own backyard. And you might even be contributing to it. Yeah. I can imagine people don't want to look too close at that. Tommy suggests it's ignorance, just people not knowing. I would agree that is part of it, but also I would add, like, at what point is this just a will? And I'm not saying you're not saying it's this, but what point are we just choosing ignorance? Because at some point you've seen enough, you've seen enough. So just not knowing, ignorance is not really an option. Thank you, Starkovich, for adding this, that in the South, there's a fundamental misunderstanding of order. I totally accept that and believe that. Yeah. So I guess as long as people have or maybe if they have a very narrow sort of constricted idea of what racism is, and then they can just be like, see, that's not happening, therefore it must not exist. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But that's such a narrow, limited, myopic view of it. Yeah, well said. All right, checking anything else here. There's a lot of wonderful thoughts and comments. Thank you for sharing. Justin adds, it's so entrenched, it's hard to see a way out. And if they admitted that racism is a problem, we'd have to change every part of society, and that seems too scary for most. Yeah, that entrenched thing is really, really true. And it is hard to see. It is hard to see a way out. I wonder, sort of in its own way, although clearly it's a different topic, but in its own way, is this why many people, for instance, don't want to see a therapist or go to get counseling? Because they know there's this massive, there's this rotting onion of their life that for them to really sort of experience better in life, they'd have to peel off all these rotting, nasty layers. And that's just, the work that would take. It's just exhausting and scary. And so it's just better to just feel safer to just ignore the rotting onion altogether. Yeah, this is a great thought, Logan, that our generation was taught about a mythical racist world that was then cured by Martin Luther King, and now it's gone. Yeah, Cognitive dissonance, 100%. How can we romanticize the USA as the greatest country and admit our failure to citizens? I know, and yet we can. Both those things can be true. My wife and I say this all the time. You can be a loved child of God who is good and gorgeous in your soul and have the best intentions, and you can really hurt a lot of people and do a lot of damage. Both of those things can be true. So US of A, yes, you can be a wonderful country and be really, really jacked up in all sorts of ways. All right. Glimmers of hope. That's how we're ending this question. Yes, glimmers of hope. I'm with you, Jules. All right, question number 6. The sixth thing I don't understand. Why do humans change as they grow? Now, hang with me here, because this is the obvious thing here is the gray hair and the creaky muscles, and yes, the body changes as they grow. But I'm thinking more along the lines of like foods that didn't used to bother you, then do start bothering you later on in life. Or for me specifically, I used to not have any problem with heights. Like heights were fine, tall buildings, cliffs. But now when I stand at the edge of something really tall and look down, like I feel sort of the squigglies in my gut. And I feel like this almost dizziness. I'm like, what is this? I think I'm a little bit afraid of heights now, but I've never been afraid of heights before. Why? Where does that stuff come from? Why are we like this our entire life? And then suddenly we're something different. And I'm like, behaviorally, I get people can change behaviorally. That makes sense. But just like who you are and how your physiological responses to the world around you, that just changes. That's a weird thing. Okay. I'm going to move on from that one, but that's the thing I don't understand. Seventh thing I don't understand is what's so great about a God who sends or even just lets people burn forever? I don't understand this. I don't understand why people worship this God, why they think this God is so great. How great is our God? Sing with me, how great. Okay, but the God you're singing to in your mind is totes cool with people burning forever in hell. In fact, depending on which church you're a part of, your God might even send those people to hell. What's so great about that God? I don't think that's a great God. I think that's kind of a jerk. That God sucks. I'm just going to go on record and say that God sucks. I remember from my old evangelical days, by the way, for those of you watching and don't know this, I have a long, complicated history entrenched in conservative evangelical Baptist world. So I knew the right answers to this. And the right answer had something to do with, like, yes, God is loving, but God is also just and holy. Okay, so the idea is this, is that these two attributes, love on one hand and just and holy on the other hand, are equal. So they're on the same level as each other. And this is, as the argument goes, this is why some people burn forever. Can I point out that if the final result of a person's soul is that they burn, that there is some sort of eternal conscious torment forever and ever and ever and ever, I suggest to you, hang with me here, I suggest that this just holy part actually is the one that gets the final word over the love part. Are you with me? If a person's soul, if their destination is for an eternity, it never ends, which means that is the final word, it is only and forever always suffering, then I submit to you that in the end, this whole idea of love on one hand and just holy on the other hand as being equal, no. The wrath part over here is the one that actually gets the final word. If the love got the final word, then at the end of the day, you would say love wins. But if a person's soul, if their destination is for an eternity of burning, I do not see how that is equal or on the same footing as love. One of them gets to win. One of them gets the final say. So I come back to what's so great about that God? Why is that a God worth worshiping? Why is that a God worth giving a rat's ass about? Sounds like a jerk to me. Okay. Did you guys have any thoughts on that? Well, Susan says it's an excellent question. Yeah. Mercy says, there's nothing great about that God. 100. I'm with you. Nothing great about that, God. Oh, Jules, you're going back to the previous question. Yeah, I've heard that too, that every like 7 years we've regenerated ours. So maybe we are new people. We have actual new cells in our body and new energy. So maybe that's why we respond differently. Hey, I'm here for that response. Oh, and then Jules says, that's one of the things I can't understand. If you believe in Jesus and believe in the Bible is inerrant, then that means you believe the gospel of love. Then you turn it around and tell someone that they're going to hell because of who they are. It baffles me. It should baffle you because it's baffling. What's so great about that, God? All right. And then Kenneth adds, God doesn't sin to let people go to hell. People choose to go there with their own free will. Well, let's say that that's actually true. How is that different from God letting that person? Isn't that what they call a difference without a distinction? What's the or a distinction without a difference? I forget which way it goes. But what's the difference, Kenneth, between God letting a person and then that person choosing to go there? At the end of the day, God lets that person choose that. And then I would add this, how is it love at the end of the day if a person, let's just say that a person does choose to go, although no one's choosing to go to hell. Let's just go ahead and put that right out there. Nobody's choosing to go to hell. Nobody stands at the gates of hell and is like, let me in, table for one, I'll take it. Okay. Even if that person does choose that, I would wager that relatively quickly into their hellish experience, they would want out. They would want out. Okay. So, and then I would go back to what kind of God would then not let them get out? I think there's some verse in the book of Revelation about the gates of hell will never be closed. And that's like, oh yeah, that's kind of a really cool thought about how even if hell is a real thing, a real burning, fiery, eternal thing, afterlife experience, would make a heck of a lot of sense to me that people would be like, never mind. Let me out. God's like, yeah, you think? Come on. But anyway, yeah, Kevin adds it, this God that does that is necessary to scare people to heaven, since the key thing is salvation in the by and by. In the sweet by and by. Yeah, Logan's like, also, that's not just. Full stop. I totally agree. Like, to say that your consequence for 75 years on earth of living a debaucherous, immoral life, your consequence is what? The rest of eternity? Like, I just don't know that there's, how is that justice? That's just cruel. That's cruel. Again, that's a jerk thing. Okay. Yeah, I think that's a fun view too. Phil Spencer, the door to hell is locked from the inside, of C.S. Lewis. So hypotheoretically, people could then just let themselves out. John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever should believe in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. I'm struggling to see where the hell is in that, though. Let me try it again. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whoever believes in the begotten son shall not perish, but have the life of the ages. By the way, life of the ages is just the literal Greek there. So eternal life is one English definition, but it may not even mean life after death. It just means life for the ages. Shall not perish. That's great. It's a lovely little thought. Where's the hell and eternal damnation in there? There's not. There's just the word perish. And I forget what the Greek word is at the moment, but if we want to come in afterwards and throw in a bunch of Dante's Inferno theology about what that means, we're welcome to do that. But now we're really adding things to the teaching of John. Is my thought on that. um, yeah, Leah, that's a great perspective. How could anybody actually enjoy any sort of heaven if that sort of hell exists? Yeah, that's a great thought too. Oh, you're playing devil's advocate. Sorry, Kenneth, I wasn't picking up on that. Which is great. All the devils are welcome here, advocates and otherwise. So Phil theorizes that, hey, people choose hell in this life. Why wouldn't they choose hell after this life? Sure. I would push back a little bit on people choosing hell in this life, only insofar as to say that how much choice do people really have? So when you say people choose hell in this life, I wonder what you mean by that, because what comes up for me is that everyone is subjected to conditions that are far beyond their control, such as what time in history are you born into? What culture are you born into? What part of the world are you born into? What sort of family system are you born into? What sort of religious system are you born into? What sort of socioeconomic status are you born into? All of these factors, which are far beyond your choosing, they all play a massive, they all inform who you are as you are raised and become a person who theoretically then makes choices for yourself later on in life. But those choices are all dependent upon those factors that are way beyond your choice. So when you or someone else says that people choose hell in this life, I think I know what you mean, and I think I understand the sentiment. But I think where I've landed in my life is that even that's not really a choice. That those people are missing. I talked about this in my TED talk. That those people are missing some serious They have fundamental gaps in their knowledge. There are things they don't know or understand, maybe about themselves, or about the world around them, or about a God who loves them. And these gaps in their knowledge, this lack of understanding, is part of, if not the main contributor to why people grasp and cling and cause all this damage and destruction. So I don't know that people really choose hell in this life. That might be a bit of a stretch. Although again, I think I understand the sentiment. But if we're just sort of extending the thought experiment, because your second half, and again, I'm responding to Phil's comment here, people choose hell in this life. Why wouldn't they choose hell after this life? If we extend the thought experiment into choosing hell after this life, okay, so maybe they choose it for a year. Again, we're playing around with ideas here, by the way, because full disclosure, I don't buy into the fact that there is a hell after life that is fiery and tormenty, and people suffer for all of eternity. So for me, that's just sort of off the table right at the get-go. But even if we were to just momentarily accept that premise, okay, so that person chooses that hell for a year. How long? 2 years? 5 years? 5 years of nonstop torment and pain and punishment? I mean, at some point, any reasonable person, and maybe this is why Catholics, Kevin, if you're still here, you're our resident Episcopalian, so you're the closest to Catholics that we might have here. That might be where the idea of purgatory sort of came from. It's like, yeah, you for a period of time, it's this purification process. But eventually, Phil, I would imagine people be like, all right, I'm kind of done with this now. I'm done burning. Tap out. And if we believe what the Bible says, and the mercy of God endures forever, then God's mercy ought always be on tap, ought always be accessible. Humans ought always be able to be like, I would like some mercy now. And God would be like, yeah, it endures forever. Yours. Boom. You're out. Come on over. All right. Yeah, Phil says that in that parish phrase there means extermination. So I think that's an interesting take on post-life existence. The idea of annihilationism. So people like either go to some sort of heaven or they cease to exist. There's at least some mercy in that. If we go back to the love of God and the just holiness of God, there's at least some way in which my mind can accept. By the way, when I say that to people, like, I just can't even conceive of or things my mind can accept, they come back with, well, God's ways are not your ways. No, I get that. I get that the ways of God are higher. I get that I'm not as smart as God, and that it's fine for the ways of God to be hard for me to comprehend. I'm not. And also at the same time, if God's expression of justice and love is not at least as good as mine, and I'm full of all sorts of propensity to muck things up, if God's not at least as good as mine, then again, how great is that God? Okay. This has been, I got 7 of my 11 questions. So here's what I'm going to do. Because I wrap this up by 3:00 every Wednesday, I'm going to say we're going to finish this next week. We're going to get my other 8, 9, 10, other 5 things that I don't understand. We're going to come back and we're going to finish this next week. And I might add a couple bonus ones. But this has been super fun. Acid Rain. Hey, what's up, Acid Rain? Haven't seen you in a while. Isn't the word hell actually a Nordic term that was inserted into scripture? I don't know the etymology of the word hell, but I do know that in the New Testament, wherever you see the word hell, is really just the Greek word Gehenna, which was just a place, like an actual physical place. So much of the church's doctrine on what they think about as hell is just like from the Middle Ages on. It's like Dante's Inferno. It's really, really new as far as the church history goes. Really new theology. Yep, got to see you, Jules. I got to go too. Acid Rain, I don't know if you're talking to me. I'm not on the ticks or the talks. All right, I'll answer this, Tommy, and then I'll close it out. You said, don't I want Hitler to suffer some? No. I don't think I want anybody to suffer. What I want is for people to find wholeness and healing. What I want is for people to come to a full awareness and understanding of the pain and the suffering that they've inflicted on others. So you take someone like a Hitler. And I remember this when the government killed Osama bin Laden, and there was a lot of sort of Christian response of, good, I hope he burns for hell and forever. And I just remember thinking, how is that like? And by the way, everyone here is free to disagree with me and not like what I have to say. This is a free program. So, I'm trying to think through, how is somebody just suffering and burning forever, or even for a short period of time? Again, if we're just sort of playing with the ideas here, how is that really justice? It might feel good for a time for someone who's been deeply impacted by and suffering at the hands of somebody else. It might feel good for a time, but isn't the highest form of justice, isn't there like a healing, a reconciliation? Go and learn what this means. I desire mercy and not sacrifice. Even that's coming to mind for me right now. So do I want Hitler to suffer some? No. What I want Hitler, this is so far. How are we talking about Hitler? What I want anyone who exacts that amount of suffering on others what I want for that individual is for them to be so confronted with the humanity in the people that they inflicted their harm upon, to be so aware of that and own that, that, the Bible talks about repentance, a changing of your mind, so that the person's mind is no longer of the opinion that is not a human anymore, that I can just destroy and inflict suffering upon, but that is a beloved child of God. And when I cause suffering and harm to them, I cause suffering and harm to me. I cause suffering and harm to everybody, because we're all connected. We are all one. Do I want Hitler to suffer some? I don't want people to suffer. I mean, the human fleshy part of me does. Yeah. The German, what's the German term for when you take pleasure out of someone else's suffer for Freudenschein? I don't know. Sorry. Drawing a blank on that word at the moment. Sure. There's a part of me that really likes when people that I don't like experience suffering, but like, not really though. I don't really want people to suffer. I want people to find healing and wholeness, and I want them to repair what they broke. So I don't know. That's a really insufficient answer to a really deep and profound question. And maybe if I thought about it more, I'd have a different response, but that's just my off the cuff thought on that. Man, a lot more things are coming up here. Yeah. Schadenfreude. Thank you, Angelo. That's the word I was looking for. This has been lovely. It's 3:01. I've gone 1 minute past the time I tried to be done here. So I'm going to put a pause on this, and I'm going to come back next week, and we're going to cover the four other things, 8, 9, 10, 11, 4 other things that I don't understand. And who knows, I might add a few after our time here together. But this has been delightful. If you haven't yet and you would like to go to colbymartin.substack.com, you can do that to subscribe to my newsletter, which gets sent out every Wednesday, except for Wednesdays like today where they just didn't get sent out. And then I'll see you next Wednesday at 2 p.m. here on the YouTubes and the Facebooks. All right, be well. I got to find the outro video. Oh, awkward. Where is it? Okay, there it is. Bye. This week's episode of Perspective Shift, I'm going to now invite you to do one of 3 things, or do them all if you're an overachiever. First, why don't you go ahead and subscribe to my free Perspective Shift newsletter. You can do that by going to colbymartin.substack.com. This will ensure that each week the articles that I write arrive safely in your inbox. Second, if you're watching this on YouTube, just go ahead and hit subscribe on my channel. That'd be awesome. And or if you're watching this on Facebook, would you click like on my page? For me, this is a win-win, in that it helps me know that you're out there and that you care. Plus, it helps you know when I'm going live. For all my other work, including books that I've written or sermons that I've preached, head on over to colbymartinonline.com. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join me live next week.